With the trade deadline having just recently passed by on February 10th and players making switches from one team to another, we think it's pretty safe to say that a lot has gone down these last few days in the NBA world. Starting with Ben Simmons' trade out of the 76ers. Yeah, we can't believe it either. So in today's video, we're bringing you the latest scoop on Ben Simmons and what his new Brooklyn Nets coach and others have to say about him, an NBA All-Star. First up, Steve Nash shares his thoughts. Former Sixers star Ben Simmons has found a new home, but the drama around the temperamental three-time All-Star appears to be unending. Simmons is yet to make his debut with the Brooklyn Nets, and it's uncertain when he will. But by the time Simmons steps onto the court, Nets head coach Steve Nash has already drawn a deadly line in the sand. He doesn't give a hoot about Simmons' shooting skill. A reporter asked Nash about Simmons' primary offensive limitations before Saturday's game against Miami, and Nash made the same mistake that Sixers head coach Doc Rivers did in his one and only season in charge of Simmons. Acted like it doesn't really matter that one of the best players can't actually shoot a basketball decently to save his life. Here's a gist of what Nash said when he was asked about Simmons' shooting skills. Basically, he pretty much said that he doesn't care if he can't shoot well because there's 1,000 things that Simmons can do on a court that don't involve shooting, and that he's an all-star player who has the potential of turning the tide in games, all without actually shooting a ball. Yeah, we're surprised he's this chill about the whole thing too. Naive Steve. He'll soon face the consequences of it all. The ugly truth here, though, is that much of what Nash said here is true. Simmons does do a plethora of spectacular things during the course of a typical basketball game. His transition game is unrivaled, his defense is commendable, and his ability to see the court and make plays is extraordinary. But this doesn't mean the problem isn't there. Back to the point, Ben Simmons can't shoot. That is an issue, one we just can't wrap our heads around. Everyone being so casual about. This is your team's future, people. Last year, Rivers sought to allay any concerns about Simmons' unwillingness to develop his game by telling reporters that he didn't mind if Simmons didn't shoot well, or if he didn't shoot at all. He harped on Simmons' accomplishments, and when the Sixers stormed to the number 1 seed in the East, it was difficult to respond. When the playoffs arrived and the game slowed down, Simmons' inefficiency in the half court when he didn't have the ball in his hands was once again ruthlessly exposed. He disappeared for long stretches of games against the Hawks, willing to withdraw to the corner or the dunkers area and offer little to no gravity for the ball handlers, not to mention Simmons getting hacked into oblivion because he couldn't hit his free throws. This is the same player, and the same flaws are still there. They're the types of flaws that hampered a Sixers team that deserve to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they'll do the same to the Nets if Nash isn't loud about encouraging his third best player to, improve. Right now it appears that he is unwilling to adopt that approach, but he'll quickly realize he's made a mistake. So how is Simmons doing mentally? Simmons, who was acquired from the Philadelphia 76ers and has yet to play this season due to a request for time to address his mental health, appears to be in a better position as a result of the trade. Prior to the game against the Sacramento Kings, Nash told reporters that he thinks that Simmons is in a pretty good place mentally, and that if they work closely with Simmons to make sure he's comfortable both on and off court, once he's physically ready to play, he'll be mentally as well. Nash also stated that there was no set date for Simmons' return to the Brooklyn lineup. Simmons was there for Monday's shoot-around, but Nash stated that he was there mostly to undergo physical evaluation tests that would decide how the staff gets him into playing form. He added that it's the performance team's responsibility to oversee Simmons' assessment, physicality, and if he's ready to play, adding that it has indeed been a long time with no NBA activity, so he will see how things unfold and how long it all takes. The head coach also added that the organization and he will make the final choice on when Simmons will return to the floor. At last week's trade deadline, the Nets sent James Harden and Paul Millsap to Philadelphia in exchange for Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round draft picks. Brooklyn has a 29-27 record and is on an 11-game losing run heading into Monday's game. The team's losing streak has relegated them to 8th place in the Eastern Conference. Despite the team's recent troubles, Nash stated that the Nets will not hurry Simmons' return. On a final note, Nash stated that it all has to come naturally, that it hurts to suffer and lose, but at the same time they have to keep the bigger picture in mind, adding that they can't skip any steps. However, Steve Nash is not the only person who's had his fair share of thoughts on Simmons. Next, Danny Green thinks Simmons has lost his battle. Let's be real here. The James Harden-Ben Simmons trade deal was in the works for a while and was indeed a long time coming, but it still feels too good to be true. 2 superstar players, both of whom wanted to leave their respective teams, swapped places, and it's all within the same division. Like, that's not something you're lucky enough to get every day. And while it appears to be a win-win situation for the primary individuals involved, at least one Sixers player is not on board. Danny Green recorded his Inside the Green podcast right around the trade deadline, a few hours after Sixers general manager Daryl Morey did his magic. Green spoke at length about the major trade, and no matter how polite he tried to be, he couldn't conceal his excitement for the new star while also slamming the departed one. According to Green, Daryl is winning when you look at Ben and Kyrie's situation, where these guys are not getting vaccinated and sitting out games. He stated that Simmons has lost this battle despite getting the trade that he liked. This is mostly because he lost a lot more than half the season, fines and not playing. He'll still be a contender, but when it comes down to it, Daryl has got a lot more done. And Green added that he doesn't think that Daryl is quite yet done, that he thinks he's going to find a way to contribute more to the team and make it possible for them to become a championship contender. But all this, it's hardly on the same petty level of Green's teammate Joel Embiid, who flamed Simmons with the perfect meme on social media shortly after the contract was announced. But Green really isn't that man. He'll tell it like it is without entirely dismissing a fellow NBA player, no matter how badly that guy hindered his team. Green also discussed what makes Harden great, as well as the component of his game that is similar to Embiid's and might be crucial in the postseason. He said that what makes Harden great are a number of things, such as his playmaking ability, but also how he gets to the free throw line, his ability as a player to get people in foul trouble, adding that Joel's getting bigs in foul trouble, guards in foul trouble, we could foul out a couple of guys. If we have to slow the game down, we can, but we can also push the pace. Green also stated that Harden's vision and IQ, among other things, like getting them to the free throw line more, allows him to get in rhythm, which he thinks they'll definitely be needing for the playoffs. He believes that his team and he will be able to get past the hump. Many people ignore this, but it might be a big element to a lengthy playoff run. Harden's free throw rate has dropped dramatically since his days with the Rockets, but he still averages 8 attempts per game, ranking third in the league behind Giannis Antetokounmpo and, you guessed it, Embiid, who both average just around 11 free throws a game. When you consider how well both shoot from the line this year, Harden at 86.9% and Embiid at 81.2%, the two studs can combine for a death by 1,000 paper cut situation, especially when the pace starts to slow in the playoffs. So, we'll have to wait and see how it goes, but Morey has put the things in place to be a strong opponent this season and beyond. And that's all we have for you guys today. How do you think Simmons will do with the Nets? Do you agree with what Green said? And which team are you rooting for at All-Star Weekend? Let us know all your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye!